Get home from school, turn on my TV. Who are these friends staring right back at me? Now that we're older, why don't you come over and go back in time with me? 90s babies nostalgia.
Hi, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Jessica, and this is 90s Babies Nostalgia, where two fully grown millennial women rewatch and sometimes watch for the first time iconic tween entertainment from the early 2000s.
Just to be clear, we are not sponsored by nor affiliated with anything that we're talking about, not the actors, production companies, distribution companies, nothing. We just really like talking about TV. And today, the TV that we were talking about is
The
Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. Season 3, Part 2. We're going to be covering 4 episodes throughout the second half. So there's 22 episodes in total in the Sweet Life of Zack and Cody Season 3. We are going to be talking about episodes 12, 18, 21, and 22. If you haven't listened to our other Sweet Life episodes, there will be a card somewhere in the YouTube video if you're watching on YouTube, or, you know, if you're on a podcasting platform, you can see our other episodes. They exist. Go ahead, give them a listen. Before we get into all of that, Jessica, what have you been enjoying lately?
I have been enjoying a new song that was just released, which won't be quite as new when this comes out, but still new-ish. It is called Take Me As I Come, and it's by Evan Honer and Wyatt Flores, which are like two of my favorite artists that I've discovered in the last like year and a half, I would say, in the like outlaw country indie folk scene. And they both are very, very young artists in that scene. And this is their first song collabing together. And it's just, if you're into indie folk, go give it a listen. It's really, really good.
I like you calling them outlaw as part of the genre, because like I'm sure they're not actual outlaws.
Yeah, it's a very, Chris and I get into talks about this all the time, because outlaw country is like not necessarily a sound, and it's more like an energy and vibe.
It gives me like hip hop that's about being a gangster, but the country version of that.
Yeah. I would say not quite, but yeah, like pretty spot on. What have you been enjoying?
So I'm one of the last 5 people left on the planet that refuses to pay for Spotify.
You are.
I just insist on getting my music for free unless I'm going to buy an album, in which case I will not have ads. So I don't get the best playlists. I don't have the ability to not shuffle, and I get ads on Spotify. And that's mostly fine when I'm in the mood, because I can get playlists from YouTube, or I just want a generic playlist sometimes when I'm getting ready. But when I'm at the gym, this does not work. And what has been working for me is Mixcloud, which is an app. I'm sure it's a website. I don't know that much about it. What I do know is that people put like DJ sets on it, like their mixes.
Cool.
That's how I found out about it, is from a Love Islander that's a DJ that was posting about his mixes on it. And like when you're just like trying to get your cardio in, a good house set is great, but there's also more than that, because there's like R&B sets, and I've looked up like hot girl workout set, and there would be like the mixes or whatever timeline they want. Like it could be 30 minutes, it could be like 90 minutes. There's no ads. It's just like it's a set as if a DJ were in front of you doing it for a show. So it's their mix. And like some of these I found like really good workout playlists with some like early 2000s hip hop. So Mixcloud, if you're looking for a good workout playlist or just like to dance in your room too, I recommend it.
That sounds very, very cool, actually.
Yeah, it feels kind of like SoundCloud for DJs.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
I'm not gonna lie, like it's gonna be hit or miss. Like I feel like anyone could post on it, but just
if you find ones you like, yeah,
exactly.
Well, getting into season 3, we will kick off with episode 12, Arwinstein.
So Zack and Cody discover a secret room behind a bookcase in Arwen's office, and they see a locked gate that says danger, and then they hear some grumbling, and they're like, Arwen, what's that? And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about, and if I did, I would tell you to never go in there again. And so of course they go in there again and set a trap because they want to let the monster out. but the monster is a giant robot Arwen that then gets loose in the hotel, and Arwen comes back early from vacationing with his mother because he knew that they would get up to trouble, and tells them the story of how he created this robot, but it had some kinks where it would like rage out if there was a flash or loud noises, and so he had to lock it up because of the rampages. And so then the twins find Arwinstein and they bring him up to their suite and I don't know, they're just like playing with him. But then Carrie takes a flash photo of him thinking he's regular Arwen, and he runs through the door and there's an outline of him. And then he shows up at London's Halloween party, in which she is having a costume contest and all of the staff are participating. And he wins the costume contest because everyone thinks that he's Arwen, and someone takes a photo, and he runs off in a rampage and back down to the basement, and everyone runs after him, and they find out that actually that's not Arwen, that's a robot and it's a monster, and they want him to be dismantled. But then he starts showing humanity for the people and says dada and friend. And so Mosby gives Arwen a little more time to find him at home, and he's gonna go live with Arwen's mom. That's the plot. Did I breathe?
No, but that was the plot. Amanda wrote this and I agree. Forgot we got a second Halloween episode, but honestly, I feel like it's pretty good in terms of Disney Halloween episodes. I found it very enjoyable.
Low-key disagree.
What? If I had to rewatch one, I would rewatch this one over The Ghost of Sweet 613.
Oh, I disagree. I would rewatch Sweet 613. One of my notes in this, like, we watched this because we have, I don't know if the listeners know this, but we have a mandate that we watch all holiday episodes, guys. It's a rule. It's one of our very few rules, is that if there's a Halloween or Christmas or Hanukkah episode, we will be discussing it. You have that to look forward to, whether you like it or not. However, one of my notes while watching this was kind of boring, TBH.
Oh, I didn't find it boring at all. I really enjoyed it. The part that I found confusing is everyone in this damn hotel is just like, it's Halloween, that must be Arwen. Even though this robot monster is a good, 8 inches taller than Arwen and is, much larger in, broadness. And everyone's just like, oh, Arwen, nice Halloween costume. I'm like, what? How does everyone just think this is Arwen? Even when it's not the Halloween party yet. At the Halloween party, okay, maybe I can forgive it a little bit. But just out and about around the hotel, people are like, oh, Arwen, nice to see ya.
The physicality didn't bother me because his face is identical. What got me was that he grunts, and that's all he does. And they didn't question that.
Yeah, I think they're just like, oh, he's in character.
But if you're a robot, how is that a character? Robots speak.
Yeah, fair.
Although this one's heart is a coffee maker, so.
Yeah, probably doesn't speak.
I'm 90% sure that the basement room that they go into, that's the secret room, is the Wizards of Waverly Place basement set.
Oh, it probably is.
That happens to me a lot when I watch these shows, where I just see a set and I'm like, I know this one. And it happens a lot in this season of Sweet Life with all of the new sets that we get.
Yeah, you're like, this is being repurposed.
Yeah, and I feel like this one was the Wizard set, which if it's not, why the fuck did you build this for one episode?
Yeah.
London wears a princess costume to her Halloween party, except it's not a costume. It was a gift after she recently bought a country.
Mm-hmm.
It felt important to note. It also doesn't look like a real princess outfit at all, but
it does not look like a real princess outfit. And just London's level of richness confuses me because I understand they're comparing her to Hilton, but it still feels like sometimes I'm like, your level of richness is above that of a hotel heir, I feel.
It is, because also they have oil money and some other
probably
things.
Other business ventures. Yeah.
They're definitely bigger than the Hiltons.
It just feels slightly exaggerated. The level of wealth is a little extreme.
Yeah. Those were our only notes. Did you have anything else you wanted to point out? We went through that one really quickly.
No, loved it. Do you want to get into quotes?
Yeah. These are all mine, I think.
Yeah, but I love the first one. I feel like it's timely.
I think it's at the beginning. Cody says this about Carrie. He says she's a winter and needs to embrace it.
Mm-hmm.
Cody always coming out with his sassy little feminine moments.
Yeah. I also like that because right now that's it was a huge trend in like the 80s, 90s, and then kind of around in the 2000s. But it's a huge trend on TikTok now because that's just how TikTok works. But with like celebrities and influencers getting color theory done to find like what colors match them best. And so I'm like, oh, I like that they included this little, she's a winter.
My mom used to tell me and my brother about it. If you're like a winter or an autumn or a summer. Yeah.
And like a cool summer versus a warm summer. Yeah.
I mentioned in our previous episode, I feel like Carrie is often used as during her screen time as the butt of the joke, particularly when it comes to her weight or her dating life in this season. And she had a couple quotes that just I did not enjoy. So at the Halloween party, she's at the snack table in her like zombie bride dress and says, if I eat one piece of that candy, this dress will pop right open. And then when Arwinstein goes on his rampage, he picks her up and carries her to the basement. And then he's like panting and out of breath after putting her down. And she goes, I know, I gained a few pounds, but I go jogging every day. And then he looks at her and she goes, would you believe 3 times a week? Okay, I went yesterday. And then he's like, yeah, of course. And it's just this like weird back and forth. I don't know. There's so many comments about her weight. It gets kind of jarring, particularly when I just love Kim Rhodes. And she's talked about how the boys, stood up against having to say a joke about her weight in the live taping. And I saw a TikTok of her recently about the Quiet on Set documentary where she wasn't talking about the documentary, but she was just like, I'm here as like a motherly figure to like let you know I know you're in distress and like it's okay and like we're all processing this together and we'll get through this. And it was just very lovely and settling, and she just strikes me as a very lovely person, and I don't know why this is the route they took, particularly in series 3.
Yeah, it's almost like they ran. You know why I actually think? It's because they only have fucking one writer per an episode. That's why. Because the one writers are stretched so thin that they're thinking of lines for all these characters that they probably don't know in and out. And so they're like, oh, what's an easy line to throw in here? A weight joke? Let's do it.
It's just such a shame. And I hate that she had to do that as her job.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awful. I couldn't imagine.
Episode 18, Romancing the Phone. Guest stars, Jaden Smith is in this. Yes, that's right. Will Smith's son, Jaden Smith, as Travis, famously made his film debut in The Pursuit of Happiness, was in an episode of the Proud Family reboot. He is a musical artist, and notably The Karate Kid in 2010.
And then we have Kelsey Asbill Chow as Dakota. She was in One Tree Hill, Pair of Kings, Teen Wolf, and more recently Yellowstone.
Drew Seeley is Jeffrey, or Dave, depending on what part of the episode you're in. Stuck in the Suburbs, Campus Confidential, while also the singing voice of Troy Bolton in the first High School Musical, and also the love interest of Another Cinderella Story. Mr. Drew Seeley carried Disney Channel on his back silently for years.
Yeah. And the fact that and I knew this, but doing the research for these guest stars, I was reminded that he was the voice, as you mentioned, of Troy in the first High School Musical, uncredited. Like, how dare you, Disney? How
but a lot of people know. A lot of people know now. I've seen so many TikToks and stuff about it.
Yeah, I think it's like well known now, but it's like how I just think so rude of Disney. Like, you put this guy in so many movies, you want him to stand out in DComs and other things, and then you make him sing for this movie that blows up and you don't even fucking put him in the credits. Rude.
Yeah.
Rude. Zack and Cody are in the elevator with Travis, who is Jaden Smith, and the conversation comes up that promises to teach Cody some martial arts because he wants to impress Barbara. And so he takes 2 lessons and he goes to Barbara, but she ends up kicking his butt. And he's like, I just wanted to be stronger for you. I want to be a man for you. And she kind of calls him out for being sexist. And it's like, I don't need you to do any of these things. Like, our relationship works the way it is. Stop doing everything, And so he still is like, I need to impress Barbara, even though she just told you to back off. And so he found out that Barbara's coming with her grandma for tea at the Tipton. And so he's like, oh, I'm going to learn how to perform a traditional Japanese tea ceremony. And so Travis writes down all the steps on index cards, but they get jumbled out of order. And so Cody has to run upstairs to figure out what order they go in. And Travis is helping Zack cook for his tutor to impress her. But Cody interrupts because he needs Travis's help. And so they sneak him out of the suite in Cody's robe. And then downstairs, Travis is like mimicking everything that Cody needs to do. And so Cody is performing the tea ceremony and is doing very well. But then Travis sees a bee and starts swatting a bee. And so then Cody is like swatting, and it just becomes chaos. But at the end of it, Barbara is impressed. She's like, oh, you went to such a big effort, which I'm like, did he really?
And Dakota is also impressed and says, oh, you went to such a big effort, which really, did he?
Yeah, thank you. But we see Barbara and Cody kiss. And then later on, Travis shows up to the suite because the boys promised if he helped them with these things, they would take him out bowling as a thank you because he is about to leave on a ship for 7 years. But they made plans with Dakota and Barbara instead. And so he actually ends up going down to the lobby and stealing both of their dates to hang out with him instead.
I have notes and clarity, but we'll go through the B plot first.
Okay.
Maddie finds a cell phone that was left at the Tipton, and it has a song by Vivaldi on it and a piece of art. And she's like, this is the phone of my soulmate. And she spends her days daydreaming about the owner of this phone, David, and imagines in every scenario that he is Drew Seeley, but like a doctor or humanitarian, all of the above, rich, handsome, smart, yes. And then it ends up being a really old man who owns the phone and shows up, but he takes her for hot chocolate for taking care of the phone, and then introduces her to his nephew, who he says is like him but young, and that is in fact Drew Seeley. Or not nephew, not nephew, grandson.
Yeah.
So notes on the A plot clarity. I feel like you were confused about Travis.
What do you mean?
Travis's dad is a conductor on a cruise ship, so he travels all the time, which is why he knows karate and Japanese tea ceremonies and cooking and all of these things. And that's why he's going away on a cruise ship for 7 years and leaving. Because you were like,
I knew that.
Okay.
I just thought it was a dumb thing they threw in there. That he's like, he has to go bowling with these boys, and he's going to be so sad if Zack and Cody don't take him bowling because he's leaving for 7 years. It just felt very dramatic.
Well, it was that he knew all these things, and they were clearly just using him. And he says, hey, guys, what if we went bowling? And they're like, really? That's what you want to do? And he's like, yeah, my dad's never let me do it. He says it's too dangerous, something like that. Mm-hmm. And it's like the one request is like, clearly Travis just wants to have friends, and they're just using him, and it's his one chance to go.
Yeah.
So I thought that was sweet, and that Zack and Cody are assholes.
I agreed that they were assholes, and I knew that he was seeking friendship because he doesn't really get that when he's out on the boat.
But I also feel like the boats he's on probably have bowling alleys.
That, yes. We already covered this. The whole Cody, Barbara, girlfriend of it all confused me.
Yep. This is back when they're together, but they were never apart. But yeah.
Yeah, it's very confusing.
I feel like this is when the series just really has an unnecessary amount of like dating plot lines. Mm-hmm. Like, these boys are literally 14.
Do you think it's because they just like don't know what else to do with them, and they're like, what are 14-year-old boys into? Girls, and that's all they could think of?
It kind of feels like that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I didn't know any 14-year-old boys that were into girls this much.
Fair.
Did you?
No, I don't think so.
Like, we were all awkward. Yeah, there was some dating, but not this much. And I think what strikes me as odd is it's always been part of Zach's character, but then it becomes a big part of Cody's character as well.
Yeah, because there are some episodes where we see like Cody crush, like in season 1 where we have the beauty pageant episode. But for the most part, it is more of Zach's character. In this season, it just feels like it's both of them all the time.
All the time. Like that's all this episode is about, is dating. All three of the characters, Maddie and both of the twins, are just worried about dating.
Yeah.
And there's a quote that I didn't write down that's a moment where Maddie is waiting for David and Carrie's trying to console her, and she says she's going to end up alone, like old and alone like Carrie.
So mean. Why is everyone so mean to Carrie this season?
That's what I'm saying. There's even a point where Cody's rude to her, and I was like, not our mama's boy.
Yeah. That's actually shocking. I feel like that was not good writing because that is not Cody's character.
I know. Speaking of not good writing, Travis's whole thing is that he lived in Japan for a long time or spent a lot of he's like, that's his explanation for being really good at karate. Karate is a Chinese martial art. I double checked before recording this. It is not popular in Japan. Japan is much bigger on judo, and another one that I forgot the name of that's a little less popular than judo. Judo is the main martial arts. Most Asian countries that have martial arts have their own martial art. Like Taekwondo is Korean and karate is Chinese. And in it, Travis says like, Cody-san or so-and-so-san, and san is a Japanese honorific that you put at the end of a name. So that's all very confusing and like Pan-Asian grossness. Just lazy. What I did find interesting is that I thought that this was for sure like 100% made because Jaden Smith was the new Karate Kid, but this episode came out a full 2 years before the Karate Kid movie.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, okay, either he was just cast in Karate Kid or Karate Kid was not even in his future at this point.
I think he was probably just cast, but when I was watching this, I was thinking it was like the High School Musical episode where I was like, oh, it must be coming out in the next like 6 months.
Oh, like as a promotion thing.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And then I looked it up today and was like, excuse me? Very confusing. But I will say Jaden Smith has great star power. Always loved him.
Yeah. And again, I think what's cool about seeing all these guest stars come in and some of the reoccurring characters is I actually think he was able to step in and interact with Zack and Cody and like keep up with their timing really well too.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
B-plot, I didn't write anything down, but I did enjoy this B-plot. It was really silly, really small, but pretty funny. Like, I like that Maddie was just, like, sitting here being like, this is my perfect man, all based on, like, 3 things.
The way she ran away with it was very dramatic, but as a Pisces, I do relate to the daydreaming and over-romanticizing of it all. Yeah. Quotes?
I learned how to be a gourmet chef, which is from Jaden Smith when he agrees to cook for Zach's tutor, who's his date. You don't just like learn how to be a gourmet chef. I just needed to clarify, like, that's not a thing. Like, you can't be a gourmet chef. That is a thing, but you can't just like take a class and then you're certified.
You have to apprentice, basically.
Yeah, like you have to do it for many, many, many years.
Yeah.
And in different restaurants under different head chef leadership. The other one I wrote down is from Maddie's plot line, where when she finally meets David, he goes, you like 300-year-old music. I am 300 years old.
Yeah.
It just made me giggle.
And then so the boys realize that they should have taken Jaden Smith bowling because they feel bad. Their mom guilt trips them. They run down to the lobby. He's already made other plans. He's going bowling with Barbara and Dakota, who both have their arms around him. And it's really gross and weird. And the guys are like, you're stealing our girls. And he's like, guys, I'm about to go to sea for 7 years. Let me have this. And they're like, okay, fair enough. It was like gross, but I enjoyed his delivery.
Yeah.
I think what was gross to me about it wasn't just like we touched before in other series about how we have like young boys caring about women. or girls in this way. But to me, I think what was a little more disturbing was just how Barbara and Dakota were just like literally on his arms, like, oh, Travis, like just there to be arm candy. No, all personalities completely written out of them.
Where when we normally see it, even like in this show, I feel like in season 1, like Maddie does kind of like establish boundaries and things with Zach, where this is just kind of like, oh, I guess let the girls just be his arm candy, even though he's like 10.
Or the arm candy is just like a one-off character that we're never going to see again that has no personality.
Yeah.
But this felt weird because especially because Barbara is such an established character.
Yes. And like the whole thing is of this episode is Cody is doing this to impress his girlfriend. Like they use the term girlfriend.
Well, it's not like they're going to do anything with Travis.
Sure. But still.
What I forgot, sorry, I just remembered what I forgot to write in a note, is that I was surprised and impressed, pleasantly surprised, that Barbara does straight up use the word sexist.
Yeah, she does.
Cody is trying to learn karate because Zach's teasing him that Barbara is stronger and can beat him up. And he's like, I should be the stronger one. I can't have people thinking I'm the weaker sex. And she's like, does that mean I have to be weak? And that's sexist. And then he does the tea ceremony to like make it up to her and be like, this is traditionally performed by women. And look, I'm not sexist. But like, I was really surprised to hear the word sexist used in a Disney Channel show.
Mm-hmm. And how firmly she
asserted
was
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was accurate. He was being sexist.
Yeah. And I like that it wasn't like, you're sexist and we're just like, I don't know, gonna break up or have this huge fight. I like that it was like, you can have hard conversations like that in a relationship, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And moments where you have to speak to your partner that way, even when you are young.
Episode 21.
Let us entertain you. We got a few guest stars in this one. We have Nicole Sullivan.
I think it's one guest star with a lot of credits.
Yes. Okay. We have one guest star. Nicole Sullivan as Miss Klotz. She's known for literally so many things, but mostly a voice actor. So Buzz Lightyear, Shigo, most popular Shigo in Kim Possible. Yeah. But also was in Meet the Robinsons. And then a few non-voice acting. She was in 17 again, Blackish, and High School Musical, the musical, the series.
Yes. And she's one of those people that every time I see her, I recognize her face. I recognize her voice. I have no idea what her name is. When I look her up at her credits, I'm like, why do I know this woman? Like, obviously, she's been in everything. Anyway, a plot is Carrie wants to go on vacation. And the boys say she needs to go on vacation. She's overworked. She's tired. They can't afford anything nice. She's literally going to take them to like the largest ball of twine. But the boys arrange for them to go on the SS Tipton, except they don't tell Carrie that the only way they could do this for free is if she sings. So they get there, they get the nice suite, they get the nice food, and the boys are trying to distract her from the photo of her on the deck advertising her performance. But of course, they are unsuccessful and she sees it and she's upset because it's not a vacation if she has to sing. So she tells the cruise director that she's not going to sing. And the cruise director says, great, here's your bill. And she's like, do you have anything cheaper? And so then they get thrown in a storeroom with a porthole that works, which would never happen. And the dogs that are overflow from the kennel get put in there and they can't sleep at night. And then the next day they're trying to get food at the buffet, but they're given like the small plates and then they all go thrown overboard and they can't eat. And so she's like, fine, I will sing. And the lady's like, great, enjoy your food. I will upgrade your suite. But then she enjoys herself in the sun too much and gets sunburnt with a big donut ring on her chest. And she can't move her body without it hurting. So the boys sweep in to save the day, perform a song for her without telling the cruise director. And so they get in trouble. She shows up. She's mad at them. She's telling them this is not acceptable. But the crowd is enjoying it. And they sympathize with Carrie's sunburn because she comes out. And so they boo Mrs. Holtz, whatever her name was.
Klotz.
plots off stage and tell her that the boys can sing.
And then our B plot, London and Maddie are brainstorming ideas for her next webisode of Yay Me. And they decide to host a 24-hour telethon to raise money for the hungry. But Mosby breaks the news to them and is like, ladies, none of your performers are showing up because there's a blizzard outside. And they open up the window and all the snow starts coming. And they're like, oh my God, there is a blizzard. And so they are all stepping in and they're pulling in different like hotel employees to kind of to fill in for the different performance acts they've scheduled. But every single time they check the like money counter of how much they made, it's at $0. And London wants to give up because she's just like, we've made no money, I'm tired. And they realize that they stopped streaming over 23 hours ago. And so they're like, you know what, screw this plan. You know what we should do? There's so much leftover food at the Tipton. We should collect it all and bring it to the shelters a few times a week.
Notes on the A plot.
Miss Klotz is supposed to be this kind of like terrifying, very, I guess, like Mosby-esque.
She is, yeah.
But
I like her. I thought she did a good job.
yeah, like when the boys show up, she's like, oh, I spoke to Mosby, and like pats them down and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But she does casually drop that she has had 4 previous husbands and that someone says something about it and she's like,
Carrie asks, you've been divorced 4 times?
yeah, and she goes, I'm a widow. And the way she says it, I'm like, oh my God, is this woman a murderer? Like,
I hope so. I support
yeah.
women's wins. She says it, she's just, widowed. Very, like, matter of fact.
Yeah. I want to know, and I did try to do some research and I couldn't find anything confirming this, but I couldn't find anything denying it. Was this considered a pilot episode for Sweet Life? Like, it's the same set. That I know for a fact. So I wonder if this was them testing it out since it is the end of season 3.
I'm sure, yeah. I didn't look it up, but I take this to be a backdoor pilot for sure. The only weird thing is that at no point do they mention like the school setup, but that's not mentioned in any Sweet Life of Zack and Cody episode. But it's the entire same set, so like it makes sense. You know, they wouldn't have built that if they weren't going to make that show.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they had that in pre-pro before this series ended because this series was so popular.
Yeah, that makes sense. The other thing Miss Klotz does that confuses me is she physically pinches Zack and Cody, like takes them and pinches them on the arms. And like, I'm sorry, that's abuse. You can't pinch people you can't pinch people, but especially if you don't know them, you can't, like, those are your customers.
Well, they're not her customers.
I mean, kind of, you know, they are on her ship as passengers. Like, yes, they're not paying, but still.
Yeah, you can't pinch your employees either, or your employees' kids.
Yeah, like, that's not okay. And it's
especially
just
to children.
It's so quick that I'm like, oh my God, why did we include this? We cannot have this woman pinching people. Like,
yeah, it must be quick because I didn't even notice it. Like, I'm not at all surprised, but I didn't notice.
Yeah.
I feel annoyed that they didn't just repurpose the lounge set because I understand that this is a backdoor pilot, but in the Sweet Life on Deck, I don't believe we see Carrie perform because she's not a principal character. She just shows up for a few episodes. The boys are on their own with Mosby in On Deck. But in this, she's performing, and her performance is on the same deck that they have their breakfast buffet and the same deck that has the activities. And I just don't understand why they didn't repurpose the lounge set, because a cruise ship would have a lounge and a cruise ship would not have everything on one deck.
Yeah, and they could have brought in other pieces to make it feel more cruise-like, but it would have, like, diversified what we saw on screen. I agree that it doesn't make sense. If they already have that set, they should have used the lounge.
I also forgot to write it down here, but I mentioned in the summary, like, no cruise ship would have a working porthole in a guest room.
Sure. But also that wasn't a guest room.
Sure, but they wouldn't have a working porthole.
Yeah. No, they wouldn't. Also, I'm like, does a cruise ship have a kennel?
I think they probably do. I'm sure not all, but some probably let you have your pets. Although imagine how miserable that would be for your pet.
Yeah, because like, where are they using the bathroom and how are they getting exercise?
Yeah, they probably have like a doggy daycare, but also pets are even more susceptible to motion sickness than we are.
Yeah. Probably just don't bring your pets with you on a cruise ship.
Probably not.
The B plot does, and I did not look this up, so I don't know, but like, does it blizzard enough in Boston to justify how many blizzard episodes we've gotten?
Well, we only got like 2 or 3, right?
I get, yeah, 3 that I know of, and I guess maybe if you made me watch all the blizzard episodes, I was just assuming maybe there was ones I didn't watch. But it just feels like a lot of like, we can't do something because there's a blizzard. And I'm like, really?
I'd say there's probably, and I don't quote me on this, don't cite me in your academic papers, but I'd say that there's probably like 2 good blizzards a winter at least.
Okay.
Because it is on the water, so it's not getting like absolutely hammered all the time. But like when I lived in Providence, I had like at least 2 good snowfalls where like you couldn't go outside well for a couple days.
Okay. I'll accept it.
I don't understand the internet logic.
What
So,
do you mean?
Because they keep checking their website repeatedly throughout this episode, only to then find out that they were offline for 23 and a half hours. Also, it's implied that London's ending the live stream early because she's tired. And how early, I don't know, but I would assume it was more than half an hour early, which is all it would be if they were offline for 23 and a half hours.
Mhm.
Like, there's just a lot of, like, if you were truly offline, you would have known because
Yeah.
there's, like, live updates.
It's also a telethon, so there's people sitting there with telephones, and it's like, wouldn't you guys realize that no one has called in 23 hours?
Well, the phone lines aren't down. Although, at this age, did we have... We had well, DSL. We had DSL?
Like dial-up?
Well, we had dial-up, and then what came after dial-up?
Don't ask me.
This was after dial-up if you had money, I think. Because I don't think the phones were down, because she ordered pizza, and then they were like, the pizza can't get here because of the roads.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. But also, we never see them take a phone call, so that's why I'm like, if people aren't calling because your live stream's not up, like, wouldn't have you realized?
One of the ladies called herself for check her voicemail.
Yeah.
We have one quote. It's my quote.
Yeah.
Miss Klotz says it to the twins. I'm going to drop you on an island so small you're going to have to take turns standing on it.
She's really kind of evil.
I love her.
Yeah. I appreciated her, but she is evil.
Aside from the pinching, I'd say she's like a lawful evil. Like, she's evil, but I'm not mad about it.
Yeah, I agree. Episode 22, our final episode of this series.
Mr. Tipton comes to visit.
I wrote guest stars, not really a guest star, but Estelle Harris comes back as Muriel for this final episode. Everyone is prepping for an inspection by Mr. Tipton, and Mr. Mosby wants Zack and Cody to get lost because he does not want them to fuck anything up. And if Mr. Tipton's in a good mood, he will give an employee a $50,000 bonus. So all the employees think that they're deserving of a bonus, and we get flashbacks to previous episodes from the last 3 seasons of the reasons on why they think they're deserving of the bonus. Then Mr. Tipton shows up and he's in a bad mood, and so they're like, oh no, someone is going to get fired. And he's in the lobby and they're all crowding him, and someone bumps into the vase and it falls and it shatters. And Muriel's like, I'm not cleaning that up. And so Mr. Tipton fires her, but she retired 2 years ago, so she doesn't work there anymore. And we learn that Zack and Cody orchestrated this whole plan, because if someone was going to get fired, it might as well be someone who's not actively working.
That's our series finale. But I wanted to throw in, I wrote down all of the flashbacks that we got. So we get flashbacks from the first episode where the boys have too many friends over and they're running around the lobby. We have Maddie saving an ambassador from choking. We have her dressed up as the like physical therapist in the con man episode saying, you know, butt kiss about boo-boos. We have her babysitting the twins in the first season. We have then when there's a daycare episode and all of the kids go running around ruining yoga, Mosby catching the vase. We get the full commercial, the remote control luggage cart, a letter sorting machine, a bowling tournament with the St. Mark's Hotel, the destruction of a painting by the twins in Esteban, Cody cooking for the food critic, the twins singing for the Japanese businessmen, a food fight that they start at the masquerade ball, Mosby's brother coming to town and fighting with him, Maddie and London fighting each other over a fashion magazine cover episode, and Maddie and London co-parenting a baby doll, and then the Prindle scene. So we get all of those little flashbacks as like reminiscing throughout, which brings me to my first note, which was, I love an episode I don't have to pay attention to. That was, I wrote that while watching this. Although I did pay some attention because I wrote down all the flashbacks, but yeah. I also thought it was funny that like so many of those flashbacks are from episodes that I didn't have you watch.
Yeah, I would say the only one, okay, I have two. The only two that I was semi-upset about was, I can't believe you didn't make us watch the Tipton commercial episode. Like, how? Like, I just don't. That one is so iconic and so well known that I'm like, how did you just deem that this one was not important? If our roles were switched, I think that is an episode I would have chose to include, but who knows, because our roles weren't switched. And then the other one is, I don't have any recollection of this episode, I don't remember watching it growing up, is the London Maddie co-parenting one, because I'm like, that's such a Disney trope, we've gotten it in every single show, so I can't believe we didn't watch that episode.
I actually have no idea what episode that happens in. I don't remember it.
What? Does it not happen in the show?
I have a theory it might be in the only episode of the show that I didn't watch, but I genuinely don't know. I was gonna look it up before this, but then I didn't have time. Maybe it happened, but I don't remember it at all. I saw it and I was like, when did that happen?
And for listeners, for clarification, the only episode that Amanda didn't watch is the one episode that's not on Disney Plus, because it got pulled because Zach pretends to have dyslexia and we chose not to include it and not to watch it.
That's actually false.
Oh.
I watched the dyslexia episode. There's one episode in this season that is not on Disney Plus that is in my shout outs for that reason. And I did not watch it.
Just kidding. Okay, we'll get to it to learn more about that one. But before we get there, these flashbacks, even though we've like watched this in the last couple of months, it really made me remember. I'm like, dang, the twins were so young at the start of this. Like, they look like little boys. And then they really turn into teenagers.
Yeah. They're still little boys with longer hair, but they definitely look a lot older by the end of the series.
Yeah.
I felt validated because German chocolate cake is my favorite cake, and I've never known anyone else to say that that's their favorite cake, and they said that that's Mr. Tipton's favorite cake. You look like I'm ridiculous for saying that it's my favorite cake.
I like a German chocolate cake, but like, I'm never going to say that's my favorite, but I'm not going to tell you that it can't be your favorite.
It's delicious. But also,
it is delicious.
I think I'm biased because my mom liked it and we would buy it from Safeway growing up as like our birthday cakes or her birthday cake. And then one time I told my German friend when I lived in Norway that that was my favorite cake, and she made me one from scratch, and she was like, this isn't German, by the way, it's just called that. But she like bought special pans to make it for me because it has multiple layers, and it was really nice.
How sweet.
I really enjoyed this, like, London forgetting that she can't get fired. And they were like, you don't work for him. And she was like, I've already been fired?
Yeah.
How did you feel about it as a season finale?
So, I have mixed feelings because there are times in previous shows we've watched where we get a flashback episode and we're like, this is weird that they put this here. It would have made more sense as a season finale. But now I actually have the opposite opinion, in that the episode 21, the one we just discussed, knowing that Sweet Life on Deck is coming, that would make more sense as a season finale to set up Sweet Life in Deck. And then we could have gotten this one as a precursor to that, to kind of like wrap up the show and then have the episode with them on the cruise ship to lead into Sweet Life on Deck. But all in all, I don't hate a flashback episode. They do feel lazy, but there's something about them that is so like comforting and fun to watch.
I prefer them as a season or series finale than like anything else. Like I don't like it when they're in the middle. Also, I just looked up the baby doll thing. I was wrong. It was season 2, episode 14. It's because I didn't really care that much about the A plot. Also, we talked so much about season 2 anyway.
Yeah, literally too many episodes.
I think it was kind of strange to have the backdoor pilot and then this without any indication that there would be on deck. Like I thought a lot of the flashbacks were about the characters that wouldn't be joining us on deck, and that was interesting and good because obviously like we get Cody, Zack, and Mosby on deck, but we don't get Maddie or Arwen. We don't get Carrie either, but there's no Esteban in this. There's no indication that like things are gonna move forward. It's just kind of like, let's reminisce.
Yeah. It's like there was an inspection, let's reminisce. So everyone's safe, but this is the end. Like it feels like maybe a little bit more could have been done. I also thought it might have been one of the cases where, because Disney doesn't really do a schedule. It's not like these are weekly episodes. Like they come out randomly. And I was like, maybe this is one of the case where like episode 21 was supposed to be the finale. And then this one came out like a couple months later, but they were only 2 weeks apart in release date. So I was like, this is still interesting.
Well, episode 21, their production codes are reversed, actually.
Yeah, the production codes are reversed. So technically, episode 21 was produced as the final episode, but then released 2 weeks prior to this flashback episode.
Yeah, which is strange. And I just wish one of them had any indication that the boys were going to end up on that cruise ship.
Yeah, I do have to say, like, I think that the only like well-rounded finale that like closed the chapter of the show so far has been Phil.
100%. It's the best finale.
Yeah, it's the only one that gave us like an ending that like felt like an ending, where this was just like, here's a flashback episode, and it's like, okay, cool, that was fun, I guess.
Yeah. Hannah does a pretty good job too, but we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Quotes.
Mosby says this to the boys and goes, "Do you remember your first day? Or as I like to call it, the end of happiness."
Yeah, so good.
And then London says this to Maddie, and it's so mean. It's so mean, but honestly, Maddie's a terrible friend, so she kind of deserves it. She goes, "So you made a guy throw up? You do that on all your dates."
And then when Maddie is like, I deserve the bonus, blah, which, first of all, you're a part-time candy counter girl. Like, you don't even make that much in a year. Shut the fuck up. But she's trying to tell Mosby that she deserves a bonus because she got on a magazine for saving the prince, giving the Heimlich, our ambassador. And he says, well, you can't get a bonus if I fire you first.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing I should have noted this when I was talking about when it aired. It aired as part of the Sweet Life in Times of London Tipton. So it was like a collection of a lot of the more London focused episodes. And then this was one of the episodes premiering during that.
Other shout outs in this second batch of episodes. Episode 13 is Team Tipton. It's when Maddie finally is officially back from Antarctica with her incredible spray tan that makes no indication that she's been in Antarctica. Episode 15, A Tale of Two Houses. Kurt's back and he's like moved to Boston, but it's the only other time we see him. And he has an apartment that looks a lot like Sunny with the Chances apartment. And the twins use it to like have dates without their mom around. And Zack accidentally kisses Barbara. It's kind of weird.
How?
So Zack has a date over at the apartment. Cody has Barbara over on a date at the apartment, but neither of them know that they're both there. There's like this scene where they're both constantly like in and out of rooms, and then at one point one of them turns off the lights for like mood lighting, and Barbara sat on the couch, and then Zack comes up thinking that she's his date, and then they kiss, and then she realizes that it's Zack, and he makes a comment like, obviously it was an accident, but he's also like, what if you have time later or something like that?
Ew.
Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah. Episode 16, Tipton Online, is the start of London's web show, Yay Me. And Cody Cody is the original producer. Her friend Chelsea briefly produces it poorly when Cody quits. And also, it's a fun episode because Zack and Mosby bond over a video game that they get addicted to, and they're
Cute.
both playing together, which was something that I did kind of remember when I watched it.
That's very cute.
Yeah. Episode 17, Maddie and London. I hated this episode. That's why I'm giving it a shout out, because they both fight over their fencing instructor who is openly two-timing them. Like, they both were like, neither of us can date him because we both like him. And then they both date him. They find out that they're both dating him. And then they fight each other instead of him.
When are women going to learn that the other women is not your, like, enemy?
Yeah, and then at the end, it turns out he had a girlfriend the whole time in another state, and they were like, why did you date us? And he was like, because I'm like a fine sports car. I can't be kept in the garage.
Oh, men are trash. I hate that.
Yeah, it also was kind of weird because he was Latino, and it was like... Yeah. Episode 19 is called Benchwarmers. It's a cheerleading episode, and Danielle Monet from Victorious is in it, as well as Katie Strom. She plays Martha Cox in High School Musical. She is a guest star in that, and it's not explained why she doesn't go to Our Lady of Perpetual Sorrow either. But it is meant, like, she's in the uniform and talking about it, so it's like, why are you here?
I get if you're like, everyone's in high school now, we all want them to go to the same high school, but fucking make up reasons on why they're all at the same high school now.
Exactly. And then the one episode that I did not watch of this entire show, it is not on Disney Plus, and I chose not to seek it out, is episode 20 of series 3. It's called Doin' Time in Suite 2330, and it has the Cheetah Girls in it, which I didn't know until I was looking it up today. It was pulled from all streaming and reruns because Chris Brown is also in it. And I was upset when I found out the Cheetah Girls were in it because I fucking love the Cheetah Girls. And it was like, apparently this is the episode where Maddie takes over being the producer of Yay Me, which also felt important to know because I was confused why she was suddenly producing the show that I had a whole thing on. And I guess it was like Cody's trying to help her, so he books one of the acts, but she has booked the other one. So then like the Cheetah Girls and Chris Brown are double booked. But they pulled it after the Rihanna incident.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I stand by choosing not to watch it. Though I feel like the Cheetah Girls maybe would have made it slightly worth it.
Yeah. I mean, I sought out the episode where he fakes having dyslexia because I'm fine watching that stuff. But one of my biggest like peeves is how much of a career that man still has and how many people still love him. I don't think there's any excuse, not just for what he did to Rihanna, but so many things that he has done.
Yep.
I chose not to watch that one.
Fair. Up next, we're going to do like a wrap-up episode. Normally we include this in our final episode of this season, but we just got like lots of thoughts on Sweet Life. There was a lot of episodes, a lot that we talked about. So we're going to rank it. I'll quiz Amanda. I'll talk about some like fun hotel things I pointed out, and just we'll include, wrap up on what the actors are doing now and things like that. So look forward to that.
You've heard us talk a lot about the bad stuff. There's been good stuff as well. Like, I'm not going to say I didn't enjoy it. I did enjoy it. And I encourage everyone to go back and watch it if you have your own thoughts and let us know. But I think the next episode, we will be a bit shorter, hopefully, and definitely like it'll be interesting to see how it ranks up against the other shows that we've watched, because if you're new to 90s Babies nostalgia, or if you've forgotten because we haven't done it in a while, we rate and rank up versus the other classic shows. So I think it'll be interesting.
Yeah, me too. I haven't done my rankings yet, so I'm curious even to I don't even know where it's gonna end up.
I feel like I need a moment to like let it sit with me.
Fair.
Oh, and I'm giving you homework, Jess.
Okay. Because
you made such a fuss, we're not going to summarize it, but we'll talk about it briefly in this wrap-up episode. Watch the commercial episode.
Okay. That's acceptable. We'll talk about the commercial episode. So if you want to hear us talk about that one, I think it's a season 1 episode.
It is.
And with that, please, please, please go and follow us on all of our social media. We are on YouTube and Instagram, 90s Babies Nostalgia. Spell out the word 90s. On TikTok, use the numbers there. You can listen to us anywhere you get your podcasts. But if you are listening on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, please rate and review and share with a friend. And with that, we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.